This is Randall Root, and this video is about ADO.NET, specifically using the connection class. In this video we'll take a look at how to create and open and close a connection to a database. To start off with, I'll start off by creating a .NET application. For this demonstration, I'll make a Windows application. Although I'm using Windows application, the code I'm using will be applicable to, or 90% of it anyway, be applicable to console, web, and Windows applications. In fact, class libraries, Windows services even. But for right now, I'll just stick with a simple Windows application. I'll call it ADO.NET Demo. To start off with, I'll go ahead and go to the toolbox and place a button on the screen. When I click the button, I want it to do something. Specifically, I want it to open a connection. So I'll go ahead and change the properties so that it is button open, or actually I should say button connection demo. I'll change the face to connection demo. In order for me to make a connection, I need to go ahead and make sure that my application is referencing the system.data namespace, and it is. If it wasn't, I would add one, but most of the time it's already going to be there. Under system.data, we're going to be using the OLEDB namespace because it's the most generic. Specifically, we want the connection class. In the connection class, the main properties and methods you use all the time are the close method to close a connection, the open method to open a connection, the connection string to tell it what to open, and finally the state to identify whether the connection is open or closed. So to start off with, I'll just make an object instance of my connection class. Let's see, I want the OLEDB. OLEDB connection, and I'll call it objcon, not because it's such a great name, but just because it's easy to type. And create a new object instance, and that part's done. Now before we can open it, we have to tell it that what the connection string looks like, and we'll get that in a minute. And then after we've told it what the connection string is, then we can go ahead and open it. With the open method. Finally, after we're done with that, we would go through and close it with the close method. We can tell the state of the connection by using the connection property. Or connection property is state property. Okay, so make a new object instance, set the connection string, open the connection and show that it's open, close the connection and show that it's closed. To get the connection string, there are a number of ways you can do it. You can search on the internet, You can get it from a coworker. One easy way to get it is to go to View and show Server Explorer. On Server Explorer, I have a couple connections that I made previously, but on yours it may not have that. Let's see, that doesn't. I'll delete the ones I do have. In my case, I want to go ahead and make a brand new connection by right-clicking and saying Add Connection. When this comes up, you may see a different screen than what I have here. A typical screen that you might see was one that occurs when you hit the Change button. When you hit the Change button, you should see this screen, and that also may appear first when you go to make a new connection. It depends on whether or not somebody has originally chosen Always Use a Selection. If they chose that, then you would see that initial screen like this. If not, you'll see this screen. If you're using Visual Studio Express, the options that I have here will not all be present. Specifically, the ones that you'll see are the Compact Edition and the Database File option. Although the option that I'm going to be using is not available from the GUI interface, you will be able to use it by just typing in the command. I'll go ahead and choose Microsoft SQL Server. And under Microsoft SQL Server, there are a couple of options. One is for OLEDB and one is for SQL Client. If I choose the one for SQL Client, I'll get an error message because it doesn't provide me everything I need to work with the OLEDB connection class. So I want to choose that. If I were using the namespace system.data.sql client, I would use the other. Notice that now it says OLEDB, whereas previously it said SQL Client. The name of my server is local. I could also use my computer name, a dot, or local host. If I was using SQL Express, I'd also type in SQL Express. On my machine I'm not, so I'll take that out. I'll use the drop-down box to select from databases. There are plenty of databases on this machine. For my purposes, I'll go ahead and use a database I know will be there, and that will be the master database. I can hit the test connection and make sure that I'm connecting, and it's fine. Once I've done that, if I right-click and go to the properties sheet, I'll be able to get the connection string. I'll copy that connection string and paste it in between the quotes of my code. If I had SQL Express, it would look like this. At which point I'd get an error message because it believes I'm trying to type in /s as an escape character. I can automatically escape that by putting an asterisk or automatic symbol in front of that set of quoted string. And often I'll put it there anyway, even if I'm not using SQL Express. In this case I'm not. I'll put a breakpoint and then go ahead and start the program. Connection object is made, connection string gets set, the connection tries to open, a message box shows me that it's open. The connection tries to close, and a message box shows me that it's closed. Key things to remember when making a connection. You need to make a connection object from one of the classes that come with ADO.NET. In my case, I use the OLEDB, which is a generic namespace that has classes that are used to connect to all kinds of different database systems. I could have used the SQL client for connecting to Microsoft SQL Server, the newer versions, or Oracle client, connect to Oracle, but OLEDB does both. After you've made an object instance, you provide the connection string. I got the connection string by using the Server Explorer, adding a connection, but you can also get it from the internet or coworkers or other places as well. Microsoft has even included a string builder class, connection string builder class that you can use. I use the open method to open the connection. I use the close method when I'm all done to close the connection. And I can use the state property to find out what the current state of my connection is. Next, we'll take a look at the command class to issue SQL commands with our open connection. Till then, this is Randall Root, and that's it for this video.